Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. You knew this was coming, guys. We gotta talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Emphasis on my friends. All others, let me tell you something right here at the gate. Do not come into my comment section looking to dump on me because you got beefs with what other people do on their channels. You would be surprised how many people I get like that, talking about, oh, these grifters out here, all they want to do is dump on the movie. They've been talking about this movie nonstop for the last 3 years. You will go back in my catalog and you will see that I only talked about this movie in the run up to now, maybe once or twice in the last 3 years, like ever. Okay, so stay out of my comment section with that BS. All right, so I'm letting you know that right off the bat. All right, now let's dive into this, shall we? Woo! Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was directed by the man with the manliest name in showbiz, James Mangold. How he manages to still be, to have man in his name after all this time with all of this feminism stuff that's going on out here. It's chauvinistic to call yourself man anything. It should be person gold. But anyway, rock on, James Mangold. It's directed by him and is starring, of course, Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Mads Mikkelsen, and a couple of others with some cameos that they rolled out, okay? So anyway, we're going to get into this movie, guys, because I got so many thoughts about this. Okay, so we're going to start, right? Let's get into the part that everybody says is so wonderful. If only the whole movie had been this way. It's great. It was like, I'll put this right up there with Raiders of the Lost Ark, the intro there, of course, and we're talking about the CGI intro with the de-aged Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones in an action scene that he could not do now because he's like 80 years old. So the only way you're going to sell this is by de-aging him and showing what he was doing back in like 1939 or something like that, okay? So what we got is de-aged Indiana Jones doing some very unconvincing stuff, because here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. I know, I'm going to hurt some feelings out here, but I did not enjoy that opening, and you know why? Because it was soulless. It was soulless. Yeah, it sure was. Okay, let me tell you something about Harrison Ford real quick. I love Harrison Ford. One of the reasons why I love Harrison Ford is because he is one of the most expressive actors that's ever been in Hollywood. I'm talking about with his face. The things he does with his face. Think the Temple of Doom, right? When the walls are closing in on Indiana Jones in Short Round, and he says to Willie, "Willie, we are going to die." And he puts this look on his face, right? You cannot duplicate that with AI, with de-aging, with nothing. There are some things about the human expression and human performance that only a live human being can relay, okay? So if you're willing to accept the whole intro with CGI de-aged Indiana Jones, then I have no problem with you accepting that. But let's be clear, we're lowering our acceptance and our expectations to the point of mediocrity. We're not going to get the Indiana Jones at his full power that we would like to get. So to compare that with Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're losing me, okay? Then the CGI aspect of it. He's running around a train and all this stuff. Doesn't even look like he's a human being half the time. Most of it is shot in the dark, so you really can't pinpoint exactly where the seams are and what's going on. Very well done, James Mangold. I'm going to give that to you and your team of wizards. But at the same time, you recognize it for what it is. When we're first introduced to Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, what do we see? We see Indy running from a boulder. He's dodging poisonous darts, you know, all of this stuff. And he's jumping in water. He's swinging on a vine. All of this stuff, you can almost feel the air. You can almost smell it as he's going through it. People are sweating like human beings, right? When Bullock comes up and you first meet him, I think he's wiping his brow and stuff like that. You see it. You know, when Alfred Molina is, you know, Santipo, whatever his name was, when he's like this and he's doing like, whoa, 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 you're feeling it, man. I'm reminding people of their humanity here, okay? We cannot accept artificial bullshit like this, okay? I know, it reminds you of the days of old, but it's just not, okay? So I'm sitting there like, okay, can we get on to the next thing, all right? Well, hooray, hooray. It's good to see a figure up on the screen that looks like how Indiana Jones used to look, but it's just not the same for me. It just didn't do it for me. And if that's as good as it gets, I knew that I was in trouble already. And so they're looking for this spear thing, right? They don't find the spear thing, but what they do find is like half of some dial, right? Half of some dial that's supposed to be there. It's authentic because the spear thing was fake, right? But then they find the dial thing. They're like, okay, all right, well let's go after this because this is a much bigger find here. You know what I mean? So we're introduced to Mads Mikkelsen's character. He's a disgruntled Nazi. He's not going to win the war and shit like that. So he's got hurt feelings about it. He wants to find this thing too because it enables them to manipulate time. Okay, and what he wants to do is he wants to go back in time so he can be the Fuhrer, so he can do things better. He's feeling like, okay, I don't like what's going on here. I see the mistakes that Hitler is making. I think I could do better. The only way to do that is for me to go back in time. So this is what he's after, okay? So we're introduced to that, okay, that artifact. So we fast forward, now that we know what we're going to be looking for. This is the MacGuffin and everything. We fast forward to broken down, fucked up Indiana Jones, what everybody came to see. He's sitting in a chair in his freaking underwear, like half naked, messed up, hair all messed up, looking like he hasn't showered in days. Somebody is downstairs blasting some music, right? Some hippies or something like that. It's like 1969. So yeah, so he goes downstairs with a baseball bat. When he gets up, I swear, I think I saw some skid marks on his drawers, on his underwear. I think he soiled himself, right? But this is how we're introduced to Indiana mother effing Jones, right? So he goes downstairs, he's banging on these young people's doors. They're basically laughing at him and slam the door in his face. This is Indiana Jones, guys. This is what we came to see after all this time. Since most of us were little, this is Indiana Jones. Well, you know, time goes on. People change. Let me tell you something about Indiana Jones, right? It was based on Saturday morning serials, all right? See if you can understand this concept. Indiana Jones should not age that significantly. We are following the exploits and the adventures of Indiana Jones. That's what we're doing, all right? So Indiana Jones should never be presented as fucked up and washed up the way he is. We should always be seeing him from adventure to adventure. That's the reason why Temple of Doom worked the way it was as a prequel, because it didn't matter where you were coming in on Indiana Jones. This was just another adventure that he had before. You don't have to explain what happened to Marion. You don't have to explain why he's not going to have Willie in the next movie. We're doing these adventures. It's like I pointed out before, like Charlie Brown. You should never see Charlie Brown and the Peanuts gang age. Okay, you should never see the Flintstones age. There are certain characters that you just see them, like James Bond. There's no ongoing story here. It's just what adventure you catch him at that time. But no, this is what we're given. Messed up, old, ancient Indiana Jones. All due respect to Harrison Ford. I told you I love Harrison Ford. But unfortunately, he's at that age now where he wants to prove that he can do this. And of course, Harrison Ford is always fun to watch. I'm not going to take that from him, but this should not be done. This movie should not be made. So anyway, you see him, he goes to teach, he's going to be retiring and everything. You see that he's separated from Marion. It's explained later that he's separated from Marion for the same reason that Han Solo was separated from Leia. It's because they had a son, the son went wrong. In this case, Mutt got killed because he was looking to spite Indiana Jones, his father, by going into the service in Vietnam, and he ended up getting his ass killed. And of course, Marion blamed Indy for that, so they don't talk anymore. All right, and he said that he would change it if he could. So now we're talking about the time, you know, if I could turn back time. So anyway, he's at school. He's about to retire. You see him teaching. Nobody cares about him. He's got no respect whatsoever. And the students are pretty much flipping him off. They're like, you know, just waving him away. And they don't care about him. All right. So anyway, we are introduced to Phoebe Waller-Bridges' character, Helena Shaw, who is the daughter of Basil, whatever his name was, who was running around with him on top of the train in the intro. Okay, so she's there because she wants to also go after the Dial of Destiny, and she needs Indiana Jones to tell her where this is or where that is or whatever. She's incorporating herself into his life. So we're being introduced to her, and of course she's feisty, she's strong, she's capable, she's all of these things. She's full of shit, right? So anyway, Indy is like, listen, it drove your father crazy. I don't know what you're trying to do. For some reason, he has this nickname for her, Wombat. Wombat. Okay, maybe Dingbat, I don't know, but he calls her Wombat, which kind of implies that they were close at one time. He had some type of a nice little friendly relationship with her. They should be on good terms. However, what we find out about Helena is that she's willing to set Indiana up. She's willing to set him up, and she's willing to leave him for dead because there are people chasing after her. And as they start running, okay, because they got to start running, there's a chase scene here. She leaves him behind. She's making fun of him for being old, you know, all of this stuff. And she's running around with some kid, Teddy, I think his name is, right? 16-year-old kid. Now, let me ask you something. If this were a movie where you had a grown-ass man running around with a 16-year-old girl, I just happened to find her. She picked my pockets, kind of like the Short Round situation, and I kept her with me. I'm a grown-ass man running around with a 16-year-old girl. You know how many people would be complaining about this? You know what I mean? But, okay, it's a woman. Not only that, but Helena is seen to be kind of a creep. She's looking at men like, okay, I'll get to you later. You know, she's saying all of these things, right? But once again, you let a dude do that, we have a million articles written about the problems with male toxicity or whatever. But she's allowed to have female toxicity or whatever the hell she's supposed to be. So they're running and everything, and you got these people who are chasing after them, blah, blah, blah. It's all very fun. We saw this before. James Mangold keeps a lot of action going on, all right? Unfortunately, like I said before, it's so much CGI and so much fake shit going on, you're not really buying into this stuff, right? So anyway, they're moving on, and at some point he meets up with Sallah, right? So Sallah is there, and he's like, Indiana, and he's like, you know, Salah's looking bad. I wonder if he's okay. I mean, he's more than old looking at this point. He looks like, I don't know, like something is going on. I hope he's all right. John Rhys Davies, you know? So anyway, Sallah is there. He's there to say a bunch of lines that he said in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Give him hell, Indiana! You know, that's what he says, right? So Indiana Jones decides that he's going to tag along with Helena as they go looking for the other half of the Dial of Destiny before the Nazis can find it, right? Because they've ascertained that that's what's going on. Meanwhile, there's, I think, the CIA that's chasing after them. This is the reason why Indiana Jones is running through New York or wherever that is that they are. It's probably New York. And he's running through some type of ticker tape parade for the people who landed on the moon. So while they're doing that and the CIA is chasing after them, there's something else that happens, right? You got this black woman, and she's chasing after them too. She's kind of like part of the CIA, and she's chasing after them with some other guys, right? And this woman uses a racial slur to regard one of her co-workers, someone else that she believes is the CIA, when they're actually also undercover Nazis, but she does not know that. But she actually says to this guy something to the effect of, "Put your gun away, you trigger-happy cracker." Put your gun away, you trigger-happy cracker. Now, picture, I'm going to say it, picture if this had been a white guy saying to a black coworker, "Put your gun away, you trigger-happy nigger." Ooh, ooh, ooh. That doesn't feel good, does it? For some reason, in this Disney production, in this Lucasfilm production, they decided they were going to have a racial slur. Oh, Mark, it doesn't hold the same weight. It's a racial slur. Okay, my child is sitting next to me hearing something like this. I'm not cool with it. She says it. Now keep in mind, she's dressed up to be some type of Black Power, revolutionary Black Panther looking chick, right? But in reality, she is CIA. So you are out of character. You're saying this to a coworker. You're not undercover when you say this. There's no professionalism going on here. You have regarded your coworker as a trigger happy cracker. I would be going straight to what do they call it? The boss. All right, I would be going straight to the boss or whatever, you know, HR. So anyway, they go on. They're being chased and everything. They're being chased all over the place. Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford is doing his best, all right? But he's 80 years old, man. To me, all right, he's handsome. He's in shape. I should hope to be that in shape when I'm 80 years old. But to me, it looked like Joe Biden for half of this movie doing the things that he was doing. It just wasn't believable. It wasn't right. And when people punched him, it was elder abuse. It was wrong. It was just so wrong. And to see Indiana Jones this way, keep in mind, guys, this is Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is Temple of Doom. This is The Last Crusade. This is Indiana mother effing Jones. There's no way we should be watching him in this condition. It's wrong, guys. Okay, you got a few thrills and chills and spills over here, but this movie should not be made. You must understand that. It is wrong. I don't care about, but yeah, okay, there are some things you can enjoy here and there. It doesn't make it right that it was made in the first place. It's nothing but a money grab. All right, so he goes on these adventures. He's running around. He's talking about how he's got regrets. Meanwhile, Shaw, what's her name? Helena Shaw is, like I said, she's making shots at him and her little pet boy, Teddy. You know, he's making shots at him. Old man, blah, 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 old man. I didn't go to the movies to see this. You know what I mean? I'm ashamed, all right? I am ashamed that I sat and I paid and I saw this. But let me tell you something, okay? One thing that I'm not ashamed of. I'm not ashamed for loving what I love, all right? I loved Indiana Jones. I've always loved Harrison Ford. It's hard for me to let go of these things, all right? I had to see it. It's kind of like, you know, when Don Corleone goes to see Sonny shot up. It's kind of something that you have to do. You have to identify the body, okay? You just have to. Because I know that I make videos and I just want people to know this is what they're giving us. All right, it's going to hurt you. It hurt me. All right, so as the movie goes on, they're chasing down this thing. They finally find it, right? They find the other half. They're able to put this thing together, and now it's got the ability to take them back in time. Remember when they said that this thing wasn't about time travel? They were fucking lying, because it is. All right, so they're able to manipulate this thing. All types of unrealistic shit is going on. All right, the kid, he's in an airplane. He doesn't know how to fly an airplane, but he's flying an airplane. Like all types of stuff. It's just terrible, right? So they go back in time because this guy is determined. He thinks he has the date. He's going to go back and he's going to get Hitler and he's going to take over. But unfortunately, it goes back to Roman times. All right, so they go back to what essentially looks like the Roman dress-up equivalent of the Renaissance fair. I don't believe for a minute what they dropped themselves into. It just looks like a bunch of middle-aged people who just got out from Starbucks fucking putting on some costumes and acting like they're fighting. Okay, I would have wanted to see something more akin to, I don't know, 300 or something brutal, you know, something savage. But no, it's just a bunch of clanking swords and everything. Like, ho, there's a dragon in the, like they see an airplane. They see them coming overhead in the airplane. They're like, it's a dragon, take down the dragon. The fuck, it doesn't look like a dragon. It looks like some type of crafts, some type of aircraft. I don't care where you are. You're not going to mistake an airplane for a dragon. You're just fucking stupid at this point, right? But that's what they're saying, right? So anyway, the plane crashes. Indiana Jones and the dude, Mads Mikkelsen, you know, they do whatever they do. I don't even fucking remember what happened to this dude. But anyway, getting to the point here, all right? Indiana Jones is so messed up at this point. He decides that he wants to die because he's been shot, okay? He decides, okay, there's nothing for me in 1969. My life is over. My son is dead. My wife, Marion, she left me. My father is gone. You know, everybody is gone. I just want to stay here, all right? So Helena tells him, you can't stay here because if you do, you're going to screw up time. All right. This is something that Indiana Jones would actually know. But no, he needs this shrew to tell him that. Keep in mind, all right, I just want to point something else out about Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I've always said that she's probably more appropriate playing Olive Oyl. At some point in this movie, somebody actually put her in a red top and a black bottom, right? You know what you did when you did that. You knew she looked just like Olive Oyl. You know what I mean? So I got some, validation there, okay? So anyway, getting back to our dramatic scene. Indiana Jones, let me stay, let me die. You have to let me do this. Now, he's making his point. He's making his case for why he needs to stay. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting there like, holy crap. This is actually what was going to happen. He was going to stay, and she was going to take his identity. Fucking yes, that's exactly what it looked like because he made his case way too well why he should stay. And he was giving this speech, a hero speech, about just let me do this. You must let me do this. This is usually where a movie would let him do this as the title character. But no, she slugs him, and it's lights out. She punches him. She decks Indiana mother effing Jones dead in his face. Indiana Jones! And he passes out. And then he wakes up in regular time, 1969. He's like, oh, why did you hit me? And Helena is just like, well, I couldn't let you stay, right? So she walks out, and guess who walks in? It's Marion. Okay, so Marion is there, and we actually got some claps for Marion in my movie theater, and I don't blame them because I love Marion. I do. I got this thing for Indiana Jones and Marion. So this is kind of where it touched me, okay? Marion comes in. She's just like, you know, you got to get yourself together, Indy. You know, we can work this thing out. You know, you okay and everything. Indy is just like, oh, you know, okay. So they're kind of like holding each other. Sallah comes in, regurgitates a little bit more from Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, when he starts singing, I am the monarch of the sea. You know, he does some shit like that. It's so sad what they did with these characters. You know what I mean? So you have him doing something, regurgitating something from 50 years ago. All right, just because, look, remember him? You know, so anyway, Marion is just like, they do this little recreation of what they did on the boat in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, where doesn't it hurt? Well, it hurts here. It hurts here. Where doesn't it hurt? So they end up kissing and everything. Meanwhile, they kind of imply that Helena and her little man boy are going to go off on further adventures. They go running off like, ha! And it's kind of like, don't you want to follow them? Fuck no, I don't want to follow them. I don't care about them. Nobody cares about them. But they go running off. Indiana Jones, Marion in the apartment. He reaches out, grabs his hat as we get this little black, the hole closes on them, and that's the end of the movie. Dun, 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 dun. And let me tell you something, guys, all right? Just to wrap this up, because I'm at 20-something minutes. On a real serious note, this movie broke my heart. It absolutely, positively broke my heart, right? Now, maybe this is me, but you know how you look up to your parents, you know, or your father or something like that. He's the strongest guy you know. He's the toughest guy you know. One day you know that you want to be like him and stuff like that. Then one day you notice that your father is slowing down. He's getting kind of old. You're looking at him like, you know something? I think I can take him. However, you never would because you love and respect him so much, but you realize he's getting old, you know, and not only that, but sooner or later, you're looking at his mortality, you know, and it brings you down. It depresses you. You're remembering him at the height of his powers. And that's what I felt probably about halfway through Indiana Jones of the Dial of Destiny. I felt bad because I didn't want to see this character this way. And I shouldn't have to see this character this way. Like I said, that's not what this series stands for. I've always understood it to be episodic. I've always expected it to be or understood it to be the continuing adventures of Indiana Jones. I would like to see him get the James Bond treatment. I know these days we can't accept recasting. That's something we have a hard time with for some reason now. But this is a character that begs that consideration to continue his stories. You know, even if you let it, you put it to the side for a while, you know, let it go. You revisit it periodically. Like James Bond, like I said before, you get capable actors. Harrison Ford is a tough act to follow, undoubtedly. But to show him this way really hurt me. You know, James Mangold did the best that he could do, but he's no Steven Spielberg. The MVP of this movie was John Williams. Picture this movie without John Williams, it doesn't work. The man is 90 years old. He did the best he could. The man has a ton of passion, a ton of talent, and he did what he could to keep this thing moving. It's the only reason why this even remotely felt like a Indiana Jones movie. Okay, but in the end, it really, really upset me. It really did depress me. It doesn't mean it's going to have that effect on everyone, but this is my experience, all right? I saw a few people leaving this movie. My son actually walked out on this movie. There's nothing here for a kid. Not the way it used to be for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He walked out. I saw several others. He walked out with some friends who were there as well, you know. And I'm just sorry this movie was made. All due respect to Harrison Ford and everybody who worked hard on it. I don't just like dumping on these things, man. I went there among the first people to see this. I went on a Thursday when it came out. That should tell you something. I didn't go there to dump on this movie. But I have to be honest with you guys about my takeaway and what I saw here. So I would say to you that if you are a hardcore Indiana Jones fan, no matter what these shills say, and you loved Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade, which is of course where it should have ended. Even Crystal Skull had more playfulness with all the problems that it had than this movie had here. It still kept that Spielberg magic, that George Lucas magic. Might have missed the mark, but it absolutely did. But if you're a fan of those things, I would say remember him the way he was. You don't have to do this. You don't have to see him this way. But anyway, guys, on that note, okay, because now I'm going down. I'm bringing myself to where I was when I saw this movie, all right, which is, it was in a bad spot, man. It really, really depressed me, all right, and that's the risk that you run. Of course, you can go see it. Like I said, don't get in my comment section trying to spite me by saying, well, I'm going to go see it, or I saw it and I liked it. Fucking great. I'm glad you did. But this is my review on my channel, and this is what I thought of it. You can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this. As always, you can like, you can share, you can subscribe. I will catch you guys on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.